Today we're going to learn how to find the volume and surface area of prisms. So you should be on page 50 in your notes packet. When we talk about volume, volume is always the cubic units that are required to fill a shape. When we find the volume of prisms, we do volume equals capital B times H. Remember that capital B stands for the area of the base. So you always need to look at what is the shape of your base, and you need to find the area of that base. Then you would multiply by the height of the prism. Now, what's important about this is that when we say height of the prism, you need to know that the height of the prism is the distance between the two bases, because remember that a prism always has two bases. All right, so let's look at this shape. This is a rectangular prism. So if I were doing area of the base times the height to find the volume, well, the base is a rectangle. So I would find the area of a rectangle. So probably this one, although it could for a rectangular prism be any of the rectangles, and then multiply by the height. Well, the height would be this distance between the two bases, because I would have a base here and a base here. Now, sometimes for this one, I could have said that the bottom of this was the base, because all of the faces on this would be a rectangle. So for a rectangular prism, there could be different ways of writing it. Now, if I did area of the base times the height, I could do the bottom. So I could do 7 times 3 and then multiply by the height. And if I did the bottom and the top as the bases, then in that case, the distance between them would be this 4. So that would be the height. So I would do 7 times 3 and get 21. Then 21 times 4 and get 84. So because this is volume, this is still measured in cubic units. So this is 84 inches cubed. Now this figure is a triangular prism. Now because this is a triangular prism, we have to find the area of the triangle. So it looks like the triangles are on the sides, but those are the bases. So the base would be the triangle, and I would need to find the area of that triangle. Then I would need to multiply it by the height. Well, in this case, the height would be 9. So 9 would be our height, even though it looks like it's not a height, but it is, because it is the side or the distance between this base and this base. So between this triangle and this triangle. Now remember that capital B means area of the base. Well, in this case, my base is a triangle. So you have to remember your formula for the area of a triangle. And that formula is 1/2 times base times height. So when we solve this, let's start with the area of our base. Well, our base is a triangle, so the base, we would do 1/2 times the base of the triangle times the height of the triangle. Well, the base of the triangle is 8 centimeters, and the height of the triangle is 5 centimeters. So I would do 1/2 times 8 times 5. Then I'm multiplying all of that times the height of the prism. Well, the height of the prism is 9, so that's why I'm also multiplying this by 9. Now, if I start by doing the area of the base first, 1/2 times 8 is 4, and then 4 times 5 is 20. So the area of the base would be 20, but I would still need to multiply that by the height of the entire prism. Now I would do 20 times 9, which would give me a volume of 180 centimeters cubed. Now this is a trapezoidal prism. So for this, again, I'm using volume equals area of the base times the height. Well, my base is a trapezoid, so the height is going to be the distance between my two trapezoids. So I have a trapezoid on the front and a trapezoid on the back. Well, the height is this amount, the distance between them. So for this, 5 is going to be my height. Now, to find my area of my base, that's going to be the area of my trapezoid. Well, I need to know the formula for area of trapezoid. And that's one of those weird formulas that you don't use a lot, but you need it sometimes. So to find the formula for the area of a trapezoid has two bases, the top and the bottom. So the formula is base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2 and then multiplied by the height. And there are other ways of writing it, but that's the main gist of what you would be doing. So we would have to do all of this to find just this capital B, and then we would have to multiply all of that by the height of the prism, which would be 5. So when I do volume equals area of the base times the height, my area of the base is 10 plus 20 over 2 times 8. So if I go back to where I have area of trapezoid, that's base 1 plus base 2. So base 1 would be this right here. Well, that measurement is 10 feet. And then it's plus base 2. Well, that's this down here. So that is 20 feet. So that's why I have 10 plus 20. Then the rest of that formula says divided by 2. So that's why it's divided by 2. And then it says times height. Well, the height of the trapezoid is 8. So that's why this is multiplied by 8. Now, all of this is still just this capital B, the area of the base. I still, to find the volume, have to multiply all of that times the height of the prism. So that's why this is now being multiplied by 5, because 5 is the distance between the two trapezoids. So that is my height. Now, when I solve this, I'm going to do 10 plus 20 first, which is 30. And then I would do 30 divided by 2, which is 15. Next, I would do 15 times 8, which would give me 120. So the last thing that I would do is multiply 120, because that would be my area of my base, times 5, the height of my prism, to get 600 feet cubed. All right, now this is a pyramid, and actually we are not going to do pyramids, so we're going to skip this problem. So if you did it, this is what you would get, because with a pyramid, it's like a cone compared to a cylinder, so it's a third of the volume. You would do the exact same thing, and then just divide by 3. All right, so again, we won't do this one because this one has a pyramid. So let's move into surface area. So this is on the next page in your notes packet. So what you need to know about surface area is that surface area is the sum of all of the areas of the faces. So you would find the area of every face on a figure and then add them all together. Well, if you're finding all of those areas, then there are some area formulas that you need to use. So we've already talked about triangle. That formula is area equals 1/2 times base times height. A parallelogram, which is the same as a rectangle or a square, is area equals base times height. And a lot of you are used to thinking of it as length times width, but it's still base times height, same thing. And then a trapezoid, the area is base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2, and then multiplied by height. All right, so let's look at this figure. This is a rectangular prism. The first thing that I want to know before I get started is how many faces are on this rectangular prism? I know that there are 6 faces, so that means I should be adding up 6 areas, right? Well, when I look at this, I'm going to have to look at every face. Well, I'm sorry, I just showed you the answer, but I apologize for that. When I look at these, I see that I have a face that is right here in the front. Well, this is a rectangle or a parallelogram, so I would do 5 times 3 to find that area. Well, 5 times 3 is 15. Now, I know that that area is 15, but I also know that the area in the back is also 15 because these are the same shape. So I'm going to say 15 plus 15. Now I can do this one. If I do this one that's on the side, Well, this length right here is 7, and the height that goes right here is the same as this, which was 5. So this would be 7 times 5, which is 35. Well, there again are two of those because there's one here on this side, but there's also one on this side. So when I add this, there are two 35s. Now, remember there are 6 sides, and right now I only have 4. So I still have a top and a bottom for this prism. Well, if I look here, this is 7, and this is 3. So this one would be 7 times 3, which is 21. So now I'm going to add 21, but there's also a bottom that is also 21, so I need to add that as well. Well, 15 plus 15 plus 35 plus 35 plus 21 plus 21 does give me 142. Now this is, because it's an area, this is measured in square units, so it is 142 inches squared. All right, now I want you to find the surface area of this rectangular prism. All right, for this rectangular prism, you should have gotten a surface area of 190 centimeters squared. So if you weren't sure how to do this, if I start with just this one in the front, this has a base of 10 and a height of 5. So that's 10 times 5, which is 50. Well, there are two of those sides because there's one here and there's one on the other side. So I would do 50 plus 50. Well, then if I look at what's on the top, so the top has 3 here, and this long side is the same as this, which is 10. So this is 3 times 10, which is 30. Well, again, there are two of those because there's one on the top and one on the bottom. So I would add 30 plus 30. Then I would need to do what's on the side. Well, this is 5 and this is 3, so this is 5 times 3, which is 15. So I would add 15 plus 15. Well, when I add 50 plus 50 plus 30 plus 30 plus 15 plus 15, I get 190 centimeters squared. Now this is a triangular prism. So with a triangular prism, you have to be very careful. So let's start with the triangle. So let's start with just the area of the triangle. Well, that formula is 1/2 times base times height. So I would do 1/2 times, well, the base of this triangle is 10, and then the height of this triangle is 18. So 1/2 times 10 times 18. Well, 1/2 times 10 is 5, and then 5 times 18 is 90. So the area of the triangle is 90. So this is 90 centimeters squared just for the triangle. Now, you have to remember there is a triangle here, but there's also a triangle on the back that has the same measure. So if I'm finding the surface area, I'm going to do 90 plus 90 because there are two of them. Now, there are still 3 other faces here that we need to find the area of. So we have this rectangle that is from here to here. Well, if I look at this rectangle, this has a base of 24, and actually this side length is the same as this side length, so it has a height of 17. So for the area of the rectangle, I'm going to have to do 24 times 17. Well, when I multiply 24 times 17, I get 408. Well, we want to remember that there are two of those because there's one on this side of the rectangle, of the prism, I'm sorry, and there's also one on this side. So I'm going to have to add two 408s here. Now, there were 5 sides or 5 faces of this prism, and I only have 4 right here. So I have to look at where my last one is. Well, my last face is down here on the bottom. Now the bottom is a rectangle and it has a base of 10 and a height of 24. So I would do the area of the rectangle on the bottom, which is 10 times 24 or 240. So now I would add all of these together. I would do 90 plus 90 plus 408 plus 408 plus 240, and I'm going to get a surface area of 1,236 centimeters squared. Now let's look at this shape. This is a compound figure. I would need to find the area of each face here. So if I start with this easy rectangular prism, I see that this rectangle on the front would be 36 times 20. So it would be 36 times 20, which would be 720. Well, there are two of those because there's one right here on the front, but there's also one right here on the back. So that would be 720 plus 720. Now, I also have the top. Well, the top, this is 36 and this is 10. So the top would be 36 times 10, which is 360. Well, there are two of those as well because there's the top and then there's also the bottom. So I'm going to add 360 two times. Then I have the side. Well, the side is 10 by 20. So that would be 10 times 20, which is 200. Now, normally I would add two of these. However, when I look at this shape, I have this side right here that is a surface. And usually this side over here would also be one. But you notice that this shape is covering that. And it's because of that, that is not actually a surface. So I am not going to count it. Now, we also have this triangular prism over here, and we need to find its area of all of its faces. Well, let's start with this triangle. So for a triangle, we're going to do 1/2 times base times height. So this is going to be 1/2 times the base of 24. And then the height is this right here. Well, this measurement is 20 feet. So times 24 times 20. Well, 1/2 times 24 is 12. And then 12 times 20 is 240. So the area of this triangle is 240. Now, there are two triangles because there's one here, but there's also one on the back that you can't really see. So I need to add 240 two times. Now, I still am not finished. I have this rectangle right here, and this is going to be 30 times 10, which is 300. There is only one of those, so I'm adding 300 just one time. And then I have one more shape. So there is the bottom of this that I don't even see, but I know there's a bottom. And this would be 24 feet, and this part of it would be 10 feet. So I would do 24 times 10 to get 240. Now I'm going to add all of this together, and I'm going to get a surface area of 3,380 feet squared, I'm sorry. Now for this last one, we see two cubes, and we want to find the surface area of what is shown. Let's start with the top cube. The good thing about a cube is that all of the sides are the same. So all of the sides are going to have the same surface area. So with our small cube, we know that all of the sides have a side length of 4. So to find the area, I would do 4 times 4, which would be 16. When I look at that small cube, instead of having 6 faces, there are only 5 because one of them is on the bottom. So the small cube has 16 as an area for each face, but there are 5 faces. So I would do 16 times 5, which would give me 80. So the small cube has an area of 80. Well, now let's do the large cube. Well, when I do the large cube, the area is going to be of each side is 8 times 8, which is 64. Well, when I look at this large cube, there are 5 full sides that have an area of 64. So I'm going to do 64 times 5. Well, when I do 64 times 5, I get 320. Now, I'm close to done, but I'm not quite there because there is still a surface up here. It's not the full 64 for the large cube. What it actually is would be all of the 64 that the large cube would have, but we would need to take away the surface of the small cube that is on top of it. So for this side right here, I would need to do 64 minus 16, which would give me 48. So I would add 48 to this. Well, if I do 80 plus 320 plus 48, I am going to get a surface area of 448 inches squared.